Hey everyone, this is Russell. Welcome to a camping edition of the Marketing Secrets Podcast.
So the big question is this: how are entrepreneurs like us, who didn't cheat and take on venture capital, who are spending money from our own pockets, how do we market in a way that lets us get our products and our services and the things that we believe in out to the world and yet still remain profitable? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Russell Brunson, and welcome to Marketing Secrets.
Hey guys, I want to do a really special podcast today because I think for some reason, a lot of people thought this whole entrepreneurship business was going to be easy and they're going to get rich quick and all those type of things. And the reality is, it's hard. It's really hard, especially the first 2 or 3 years. You got to find your voice, you got to create a brand, you got to build a movement, you got to create products people actually want, you got to figure out what it is you're selling and how to sell it. And there's a lot that goes into initially, and I think that sometimes we get seduced by how quick and easy, because overnight success stories, people making $1 million in 5 months, come on the back of 3 or 4 years of work and effort and time. And recently, one of our coaching clients, they've been struggling, and as I kind of saw, they were doing the motions, but they weren't having success, and I realized that the reason is they hadn't put the time in ahead of time. And I sent them a Voxer. It's about a 15-minute Vox message that kind of went over this, and I've edited out from that message all the stuff that related to them, because it doesn't matter who they are, but it was a message I think everybody needs to hear and should hear, because you have to realize that there's a lot that goes into it. And sure, maybe there's other businesses you can start. Maybe you can go start an Amazon business or things like that, where you just need to buy product, post it, and that's how it is. But if you want to be a leader, you want to be an expert, you want to change the world, it takes some time. You think about it, people go to school for 4, 8, 6, 10, 12 years to try to get a job that pays them 50 to 100 grand a year. Like, you're trying to become a multi-millionaire. You think it's going to happen overnight? Like, it takes the energy. So I want you guys to listen to this Voxer, and just hopefully it's a coaching call for you. And think about the effort you got to put into it. Think about the team you need to build. Think about who you need to become to have those huge successes. The other thing I talk about, a couple people I mentioned, Anthony. I'm talking about Anthony DiClementi from Biohacking Secrets. I talk about Kaylin. I'm talking about if you look up Lady Boss Weight Loss, you'll see Kaylin. And I mentioned a couple of my Inner Circle members by name. I may not have said their full name, but that's kind of who they are, so you have some context as you're listening to this. But listen to this Voxer, use it as a personal coaching call for yourself, and I hope that it gets you excited and fired up to put in the effort that you need to take over the world and to really change people's lives. So there you go, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Steve Larson, and I work for Russell. I am his assistant, and he's asked me to go and clean up a lot of the audio for this podcast. So as you listen to this episode, just know that Russell is answering the question, really, if I'm just one funnel away, then how much farther away is that funnel?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know all the answers ever, but from my experience, I don't think I think you're seeing people's highlight reels and you're not seeing like the rest of it, right? Like, and things can be shortcut, they can speed up. But like Anthony, for example, like if you knew Anthony's whole story, like it wasn't like he became this biohacking dude. Like, Anthony was my coaching partner for 3 years, and he was barely scraping by for 3 years in the weight loss market, going hard and heavy, targeting weight loss and women. I mean, weight loss is by far the most competitive market on planet Earth. So it's like, to be successful there, you either have to be super, like a very unique angle, or have an amazing story, or be one of the best salespeople or the best copywriters or whatever that is, right? To be dominant. Like, Anthony tried weight loss for 3.5, 4 years. I knew him, and struggled. And it was like, for him to have success, we had to shift from weight loss into a completely different angle, right? Blue ocean, like biohacking thing. And that's where he's finding success. But in that time, I mean, if you look at his story, like, he came down with Lyme disease. He spent 2 years biohacking himself on his deathbed, trying to figure out how to survive. And after he figured out, then he went on this mission where he literally, I love Anthony because his heart's so big. Like, I would say conservatively, he probably coached at least 1,000 people in 3 years, most of them for free because they couldn't afford it. And he just loved people so much. And he cared so much about them. And that's how he found his voice. That's how he has so much certainty. Like, when you talk to Anthony, it's never like, it's just absolute certainty. So people plug into that, right? Like, the absolute certainty is like, the reason why people follow me is because in this thing that I'm good at, I have absolute certainty. I have no wavering doubt, right? Like, you plug in because they're like, wow, Russell is certain, so like, I need to follow that. And so, but that certainty doesn't come with by positioning or posturing. It's by putting in that work ahead of time, right? And just mastering it, and like, and to the point where you just know, right? So like that's Anthony's journey. Kaylin's is different. Kaylin has such an amazing story, like how much weight she gained, she lost, and she happens to become one of the best salespeople ever. Like I don't think there's very few humans on earth that become a better salesperson than Kaylin, which is why they're dominating that market, because she is so good at like, it's so clear on her messaging, and like she's one of the best I've ever seen. And like she's dominating there, right? You know, and then Caleb's got Caleb is not an overnight success story either. He's young, but man, that dude grinds more than anyone I've ever met. Like insane amounts of hours and time and effort. And by the time he was 13 years old, he read more books than I had, right? He had done hundreds and hundreds of Facebook Lives during that time before any of them started hitting. Like that kid's put in his 10,000 hours plus before he's 15 years old. So it's like that's what you're not seeing. You're seeing like, oh, he's a 13-year-old kid, like he's successful. It's like, well, but like he didn't just step into that. And some people do. Some people are like insanely talented. It doesn't make any sense, right? And that does happen. But for most of us, like it's not that way. Like I didn't make a penny online for 2+ years, and then the next like 5 years were like hardly anything. And then, you know, it took 7 or 8 years before like I found my voice to be able to be in this market and have certainty where I felt that, you know. And so how do you get that absolute certainty? It's by putting in the time. It's by doing you know what I mean?
So I actually am the coach for the 2 Comma Club coaching program, and I love it. It's so much fun. It's fun to see because, you know, I've been doing this game now for about 4 years now. And for the first several years, I actually made no money with it at all. I was with any of my funnels, with business entrepreneurship in general, and all I knew is I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I started putting my head down and working, and I did everything from stocks and options to real estate, you know, commercial and residential. I went and I did ebooks, door-to-door sales. I went and I did telemarketing. I did everything, and it was all with this backdrop of just wanting to be an entrepreneur and provide value in the marketplace and go do this stuff. And I failed my face off. I mean, it was one of the most humiliating things on you know, in my entire life. My wife and I were living on loans in college, and because I was, you know, my wife was basically the spouse of the suffering entrepreneur, and I didn't want to be that story, and it turned into be this really painful experience. But I literally was listening to Russell's podcast. I was listening to these other entrepreneurs and their podcasts and it was honestly them and like YouTube motivation videos and all the stuff that just kept me going with it, and just the sheer belief that it would work, and also just you know, mad obsession over the topic. And if I could turn around and tell myself a few things now, it'd certainly be that I really wish that I'd spent more time crafting my voice early on. I like what Russell's mentioning inside of this podcast right here, telling, you know, that you've got to figure out the voice. And the way that I did early on was by regularly publishing. I just get out there and I just speak. There was a time after I read .com Secrets, I went and I was like, hey, I know enough to at least teach someone else. And I literally held a 3-hour free class inside of a stranger's home. And they had all these people there, all these friends and family, and I recorded the whole thing, and that became my first info product. And I didn't know that's what it would become. I didn't know. It was just pure obsession over the task, pure obsession over the topic that kept me going with it. And so, number one of the biggest things that everyone struggles with when they start doing this thing is they have to find their voice. And if they can't find the voice, that is, where do they draw the line in the sand? Where's the polarity come from? Where's the passion? Where's the stories in the background? And if you've never spoken before, you never put yourself out there before, you're never quite going to know how those things actually fit together. And so it's awkward for a lot of people who are just starting out inside 2 Comma Club coaching because they have never figured those things out. They don't know what that's like. So not only are they trying to create a brand new product, right? Number one, not only are they trying to create the sales message, which they've never done before either. Number 3, they're trying to find their voice. They're trying to do 3 things at the exact same time, and you can do it. But when people are going out and they're expecting, hey, I've been doing it for a month, I've been doing it for 2 months, but they still have never actually been successful with it. It actually, it's when you look at it from that angle, it's humorous. Like, well, of course you're not successful right off the bat. You're trying to figure out your voice, your product, and your message all at the exact same time, and it's been 2 months and you're not happy with it. And so you got to think of it from the other side. these guys that have been publishing for a super long time, or people who've been, giants inside the marketplace, you look behind every one of their success stories, and every single one of them has got these amazing stories. Usually they're rags to riches stories, or usually they're stories where there was so much failure at the beginning, but they just kept their head down. They just kept pushing forward on the whole thing. And so those are the three things. As you start moving forward, and you'll learn more about this in 2 Common Club coaching, that really that piece right there will put so many of the things in place for you as you keep going forward. Find your voice, find your voice, find your voice. And I was really against finding my voice. It sounds stupid, but I didn't want to listen to Russell. I didn't want to listen to the things he was saying when it was before I worked for him or before anything else. But I'd be listening to his podcast, and he kept saying, hey, you got to get out there and you got to find your voice, start publishing. And I actively was against that. I was like, there's no way I'm going to podcast. There's no way I'm going to start YouTubing. There's no way I'm going to do any of that crap. I don't want to do any of that. And it was at his event in 2016. I had no money, and I literally was building funnels and trading funnels for a ticket, and trading funnels for a plane ticket, and trading funnels for a hotel night stay. I mean, I had no money, but I just knew I needed to be there. I had been hustling for several years by that point. And I got there, and I sat down, and I listened to Russell, and I was like, hey, I've worked my butt off to get here. I have no money. I don't know how I'm going to make it. But what I'm going to do is whatever he says, I'm just going to do it, because I've put in the time, and I just want to make this work. And I know it will. I just need to keep working it. And so what I did is I went and I sat down, I started taking notes, and all of a sudden Russell stands up and he goes, every single one of you guys need to get out there and you got to start publishing. And I was like, crap, he said it. I got to do it. And I went out and I started publishing regularly. And the first 20 episodes that I did were really awkward. They were bad. And but something happened. Something clicked. My voice changed. Something happened. My confidence changed. I got stronger polarity. What I believed started coming out stronger. As I went and I started interviewing other people and started talking with others in the industry, I figured out the place for me to exist in the ecosystem without being competitive with everybody else. That way I could collaborate and not compete as hard, in my own little blue ocean niche. And amazing thing. And what's cool is that when I started doing that, and just like those in 2 Common Club, I know a lot of you guys listen to this podcast, so I'm just full shout out to you guys. But I know a lot of you guys, what I say to you is, hey, if you go and you start just regularly publishing, you'll, number one, find your voice. But number two, the place for your offer to exist, the place where you need to create your new opportunity, your new niche, that place will start to bubble up and start to emerge out of the red ocean, the red submarket ocean. And it's amazing what's going to start to happen too. You'll start to figure out the message. The market will start to tell you everything that you need to know. You don't know enough to actually be successful on your own. You don't. The market will tell you everything, always. Don't try to come up with it on your own. If you do that, fantastic way to fail, fantastic way to lose money. I did it for years. I can tell you all about it. Really, what this game is go funnel hack, which does not mean pages. All right. If the offer is online, then yes, that means pages. But go funnel hack an individual. Funnel hack their voice. Funnel hack their offer. Funnel hack their message. Right. And so what you do is you start to see this picture that emerges out of the sand. Oh my gosh, that's what I have to go make. Here's the formula. Here it is. That's your best shot. You take your best shot at launching that thing, and then you step back and wait. And what ends up happening is all these people will start to give you feedback. I wish it had this, right? They'll come in the form of complaints. I wish it had this. Your product sucks at this. Don't push that stuff away. Those are the things that let you know that you are doing well. Those are the things that let you know what to create and build next, right? So you take the aggregate voice, the aggregate complaint about your product, the aggregate feedback, and those are the things. The market that's the market telling you what to go make. Then you go make that thing. And what's nice is when you do that and you take those pieces of feedback, you, number one, take your best shot. Number two, get feedback. Number three, you turn around and tweak it and relaunch it. Now you're in this cool little iteration cycle, but the pressure is not on you anymore. You've already launched the thing. It's already up. It's already rocking, and you're getting feedback. But anyway, so that's what I'd say. That's just my commentary on this piece right now, that I completely stand by and behind everything that he's saying with this, that it is so, in order to gain confidence, you gotta live it, and you gotta live in it every day. You gotta be the expert, the go-to person inside of the industry itself.
And so, and it's harder when you don't have a story, cause it's because even the one that I watched, and I know a lot about the weight loss market. I've struggled with weight throughout my life. I've coached a lot of people in that market. So I was watching, and just not to critique certain things, but just the one thing I know from the weight loss market, and people I've worked through it, is that people in weight loss are very skeptical. Like if somebody doesn't have a story where they're overweight, like they don't understand what it's like to be me. Like that's their belief. And then like in the video, you guys talked about like how to target certain areas, how to reduce fat. And I was like, cool, this is like a good topic. It's something people are very concerned about. People have love handles, they have this, that, and they do want to target spots. And then the advice is kind of like, don't target spot, like lose all your weight. And I felt like that message was not like that. Most overweight people that I know would have that message was not only not shareable, it was like the opposite. Like it would have pushed them away. Like, well, you have no idea. You've never had love handles. Like that's how they would have reacted, right? I know that because I've worked with so many overweight people, and I've done that. Like, and you guys should know that. You should know that, like, if you told somebody that and say, oh, don't worry about like your love handles, you got to lose this. Like, because you told someone that face to face, you would have known. Like, you should have known that. Like, this is your market. Like, you should have known that would have repelled those people, because the number one concern that every single person in the weight loss market has when they start working with a trainer is this person has no idea how I feel because they're not overweight. That's why Caitlin's story is so essential to her success, is because that's their biggest belief, right? Like that is the biggest limiting belief in that market people have. And my market is different. My market is like, if this stuff works so good, why don't you give it to me for free? Like, that's my market's limiting belief. So like, that's what I'm fighting against all the time, right? And so like, you got to know that in your market. And then like, and again, that comes from like doing this over and over and over and over again, and then doing it and getting people offended, and then doing it again. The next time they don't get as offended. It's kind of like this in the Groundhog Day, right? Like every time Bill Murray comes back and he relives the life, he like does it wrong. So he tweaks it, comes back, does it again, does it wrong, tweaks it, eventually like has a good life. But it's like, how many years he was in that Groundhog Day experience. And it's like, we need that in volume a lot. But I also think defining your message better, because like it's like where the money being made right now. It's not in like traditional weight loss. It's in the fads or the blue oceans, whatever, right? Keto diets, like that's a hot thing. And so it's like when we launched Prove It, we were kind of first people coming out there, and then now there's been this huge swell of thousands of different keto brands and products and things like that. Some people are succeeding, some are failing, but it's the ones that are like diving into this market that's hot. Like if you look at, again, Expert Secrets 101, like find a hot market, ask them what they want and give it to them. What they want, what they need, right? You got to find out exactly what they want, you sell them that, and then you can fulfill and give them what they need. But that's the big thing. You got to understand the market super well. And the only way you do that is by like putting in the time and the effort. So, and so like that's just completely honest. So you got to differentiate completely and have like this sub market that you're like right now. Dave Woodward works for us. His wife's going into that market, and she tried for 4 or 5 years to succeed in the weight loss market. And she's got amazing stories. Like, she's been a personal trainer forever, like, and she's struggled because it's like she's stepping up to play with the best of the best. And so finally she's made the shift to her whole program is now called Have It All Moms, and it's focusing on moms and how weight loss is within moms. And it's not just weight loss, but it's also these other parts of personal development. And like, she's carved out this ocean, and now she's finally getting traction. But it was 4 or 5 years, like going up to big leagues, and she's a great salesperson. She's all these things, and she struggled. And so again, for you guys, it's like you got to find your market. You got to find the market, like what people actually want, what they're looking for. Not so much what they need. We fulfill what they need, but we've got to sell them what they want, right? All right, so that's that. But there's the art and the science of this game, right? I think hopefully you've heard me talk about that. And I think like most people that struggle as entrepreneurs typically are like the A students. I'm guessing you're an A student, like just by default, like because they're really, really good at the science, right? Like that part of it. But the art is something that you feel, and it's different. And so that's typically people who are really good students struggle with that, because it's like it doesn't come naturally. Whereas usually like the C students are ones really good at the art of it, but they struggle with the science, right? And so for most businesses, I recommend for people, it's like if you're in that spot, it's like you figure out who you are. Like when I got started in this business, one of my first mentors told me, he said, look, there's so that in every business there needs to be a starter and a finisher, and you got to figure out who you are, and then like surround yourself with the other people. And at that time in my business, I was like, well, I'm a starter, really good at starting, really bad at finishing. And so I was like, hey, I need to surround myself with finishers. So I started hiring people that were really good finishers. And that's why people always ask me, Russell, how do you get so much stuff done? It's because I have the ability to start 1,000 things, but I've got a team behind me who finishes them all. But I know what my strengths are, I know what my weaknesses are. If you go to Tony Robbins, Business Mastery, he talks about every company, there's 3 types of personality types. You got to have, he calls it an artist, an entrepreneur, and a manager. And so the artist is the person who's obsessed with that thing. One of them's got to be obsessed. Like that's the artist, right? The next person is the entrepreneur, is the person's out there like risking and like going crazy and like and like doing like that part, like going out there and doing stuff. And then there's a manager who's just in the management roles, right? And so just looking at that, like inherently, what are you best at? Are you best at managing? Are you obsessed with the art of this thing? Or are you the entrepreneur who's going out there and wants to sell the crap out of it? I think at Funnel Hacking Live, one of the presentations they talked about, they took that concept, they called it, you need a hustler, a hacker, and a designer. And like ClickFunnels, like I was a hustler, Todd was a hacker, and Dylan was a designer, right? Like that was the three pieces. And so, and not that you can't learn the other stuff, I think you can, like, but like that's not how businesses grow, by us figuring out our weaknesses and focusing on it, right? In business, it's the opposite. It's like find your strengths and quadruple down on them and abandon your weaknesses and plug in other people in those spots. So it's backwards. So it's like, yes, you're capable of learning those things, but don't, because it's so much better to find those people and plug them in, right? And so like even Brandon and Caitlin, you look at them, the reason why they're successful is you have Caitlin, who is like the artist, right? She's obsessed with her art, like, and she's also like one of the best salespeople ever, right? So you have that. But her by herself would fail. And she has her husband, who is like the manager, entrepreneur, like risking, like that kind of thing. Because they have both halves is why they've blown up, okay? For me, I don't have a spouse who's that other half, so I brought in team members and partners and things like that. And that's why we've been able to blow up. It's like, okay, let's take my strengths. I know what these are. Like I'm really good at this piece. Let's find somebody who that's their strengths and let's team up. And now it's like, boom, now you can have way more impact with people, right? Whatever that is, really understanding the market, but being obsessed with that. Like whoever it is that's the artist in your business needs to be obsessed with that. Needs to be reading 40 blog posts a day, listening. Like I listened today, so I'm a marketing guy. I don't think there's probably few people on earth that know more about marketing right now than me. Not to be cocky, but like I'm kind of obsessed with it, right? Today, I think I've listened to 8 or 9 marketing podcasts. I bought 3 products. I recorded 23 videos today. Actually 29 videos today I've recorded on the topic. I got done at 6, came home, ate dinner with my kids. I'm actually going back in because like I'm so excited about this thing and I got to keep going back in. So that was today for me. And so it's because I'm obsessed with the art of it, right? And it's just like, there's got to be someone there that's that obsessed with it or else it's going to be really hard to drive it. And I got a message back, the first message that was like, oh, hey, so I did some Facebook Lives and nobody showed up. I was just crickets. And like, that shouldn't bug you. If you're an artist, you should not care. You love to hear your voice and you just want to talk and share and study and learn and give and share and talk. And like whether people are listening or not, it should not matter. Like you should be like whoever the artist is in the business, that's the kind of level of obsession they need to have to be able to succeed. So it's like understanding that. And then like, if that's not you, that's cool. Find someone that's how obsessed they are and then plug in your stuff where you're obsessed with like, you plug those 2 things together and now you got like a force of nature to be reckoned with, right? But there's got to be like that's the pieces that, because any business, it's like you have to get it into orbit and you can't do that by being a normal human and just like waking up and doing your thing, right? Like it takes raw obsession. Like that's why it takes an entrepreneur to launch a business to get it into the stratosphere. And then what's in the stratosphere, hire a bunch of MBAs and people to plug it in and just kind of keep the thing moving. But it's obsession that gets it into orbit, right? A rocket can't get into orbit unless it's got those huge boosters that just blow the crap out of it and push it off the ground. But again, it's tripling, quadrupling down on your strengths and backing off their weaknesses and find people who your weaknesses, your strengths. That's how you build a company and blow it up fast.
Would you like to see behind the scenes of what we're actually doing each day to grow our company? If so, then go subscribe to our free behind the scenes reality TV show at www.funnelhacker.tv.